Hello, everyone. Welcome to Amazing Scale Modelers Across the Pond Hangout. I'm your host, Jack. I'm going to drop the scratching. So I'm your host, Jack. Just Jack. Amazing Scale Modelers is a Google Plus community, a Facebook community of scale modelers, reaching all across scale modeling genres, mediums, and to encourage friendships from around the world. Today, we hope you'll find it to be an important source for the scale modeling hobby, as well as about hearing something new and see firsthand the scale modeling experience. Joining me today are the usual suspects to help me kill time and doing all these other things too. And if you want to join us, the live chat is open. So go to our, of course, if you're watching live, you know you're over at the YouTube channel. So bring your questions, comments, all are welcome today. And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, make suggestions for future topics or whichever. And first up, I'm just going to discuss, I come up with this term, a British term, and I haven't brought it up yet to my British friends, or at least they're from Northern Ireland, even though that's close enough to being British, I guess. We're a bunch of anoraks, as it turns out. Is that such a word?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a word. Yep. Anoraks.
Oh, I'm thinking in Australia too. We're a bunch of anoraks. I never thought we'd be.
Variation on nerds.
Yeah, I heard, yeah, uncool. It means uncool or nerd. Yes, and I found, and I posted that as a description for the show, and I thought to myself, we sound like a bunch of extinct birds. The great anoraks. You remember the great anoraks? You know those birds.
Jack, I just watched that Ready Player One came out yesterday, and one of the characters is the Grand Wizard's name is Anorak.
Okay, I'm not that much of an anorak or a nerd to know that.
The term basically comes from the fact that before there were sort of nerds and that type of thing in the UK, you had train spotters is still a big hobby here, and train spotters all tend to wear these 1950s style anoraks jackets to keep the weather out when they're out spotting trains. So the term then transferred over to anyone who's fascinated.
Well, it'd be like calling somebody a hoodie in the States, I guess.
Well, a hoodie here is a very different connotation. Basically, you're a bit of a local pest who breaks windows and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, yeah, a hood or a hoodlum, yeah.
Hoodlum, no, but
there was a similar slang term for the type of kids that always wore hoodies.
Anoraks here would be much more generous term. It wouldn't have been quite as insulting, I think, but
yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to make that term worthwhile to wear proudly. And I'll tell you what, if they call train spotters as anoraks, I sure hope their success rate in spotting a train is 100%. Because if it isn't, I'm worried.
Yeah, you only have to miss the one.
I think Randall's still getting over the fact that Americans wear fanny packs. So I'm not cursing. I'm an American. That's not cursing. Anyway,
a bomb bag. Yes, a bomb bag.
Yeah. Let me just say, if it's big enough to put your keys in, you don't want it.
Yikes. Why would you put your keys there? Oh, never mind. Anyway.
Help me find my keys, I'll drive out. There's an old joke for you.
Speaking of good joke, this could be a modeling joke. Don Gilchrist, bless his heart, posted something that was actually funny.
Hey, Don, good for you.
Yeah, and very much up Randall's alley. I mean, he's a really good anorak. He killed two birds with one stone on this one. And
yeah,
this is what
I saw that.
This is a car and trailer that should be driven around Belfast. That would be the ultimate joke.
Could be.
No, that's
No, it's not. No, it's,
Weren't they made there? Weren't they made in Belfast?
they were, yeah. Well, Northern Ireland, yeah.
that is an absolute disgrace. They can do that to the DeLorean. What a disgrace.
Well, you know, there is a kit out there for the DeLorean. I'd love to see someone build this. I really would. Coming out with a new Back to the Future. Here's the trailer. Okay, very good.
I have to wonder if that's not Photoshop. Yeah, I have to wonder if that's not Photoshop.
No, that doesn't look like it's photoshopped. If that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I think that could be Photoshopped. Of course, probably in the long run, be easier just to go ahead and build it that way. But
Oh, true.
It would be.
what was the old joke about the DeLorean? You've just bought a DeLorean. Your rebate is in the trunk.
How do you know a DeLorean is driving the road? Driving down the road.
Yes, it's snorting the white line in the center.
Yeah, there you go.
That is bad.
Now, you youngsters that hear that joke, we find it funny. That's a very much a generational joke. So look up DeLorean. He's the guy who came out with those cars, and
DeLorean.
if you know a lot about him and why he went to jail, it's funny. So, what does this have to do with scale modeling? Absolutely nothing. That's why we're discussing it. Anyway. Moving on, I'd like to say hello to Heath. How you doing, Heath?
G'day. Happy Easter to everybody. Happy Easter. And now for my impression of Jesus on the cross.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my God. That went over like a lead balloon.
Yeah, like a bat and chitch.
Well, that was a bad joke. Thank you very much. Drop mic.
Like a fart in a spacesuit.
Yeah.
Well, you know why you can't give Jesus M&Ms.
Oh, no, here we go.
Well, it falls through his hands.
Yeah.
Oh.
They fall through his hands, not in his mouth.
There's not time to melt in his hands. That does just fall through his hands.
That is bad. That is bad.
We're all gonna burn. We're all gonna burn for that one.
You know what? If I'm going to burn for that one, I wouldn't have done those other things that surely will have me burn for that one.
Anyway, back up to the most important business. Modeling. I've started building my McLaren. Hang on, I'll just get
Doesn't look like much yet.
Well, that's just before. I just want to say George is up and awake over there on a live chat. He says his daughter won't let him wear a fanny pack anymore, and I'm sure Randall's.
That's what this is what I'm about.
Because George, if she let you, she's gonna have a sister. That's what it's about, Oh gosh, Jack, stop!
We can't mute your microphone, but you can mute the rest of ours. It's not fair.
I got some.
My lovely mole kid here.
Or he tried to talk.
Oh yes, I can, Lou.
That's right. Liam has the power.
Yeah, so he's on.
Oh, the standard.
What are you building this week?
We reached a new low.
I wonder why I put myself through this.
All right. Heath, when you can get a word in sideways into this group.
That's what I'm building.
Yep. Nice.
It's a pretty box.
This is the 2015 McLaren MP430. This is Japanese. Oh, the companies Grand Prix edition. So I'm sorry, Japanese Embassy on line 1, I know. Japanese Embassy on line 1, I know. Oh, you know, under West. What? You're under West when it comes to Japanese. Really? But anyway, that's the monocoque. You probably can't see it there, but every time I try and glue a part on, glue always comes out. I put my gloves on. It's not bad, not bad. But this one will be airbrushed with Gravity Colors Grey Primer. And I've got the actual colour that the car will be. It is called McLaren Honda Graphite.
Oh.
So basically,
colors.
okay, to put it in one way, it's basically metallic black. Stupid, I know. You call it graphite, and yet it's metallic black. I don't get it.
Somebody actually makes
I only just
specific.
Started this one. It's not bad fit. The model's not a bad fit. It's just a little bit of. It's just I'm going to take my time with this one because it's a 2015 car and it's not really that bad. But because there's like glue all over it, I mean, I've used some sandpaper and got most of the glue off. You know, I just need to do some. The interesting thing with this kit is that you do the monocoque first and the cowling, and you put them together first. As you can see down here. You put them together first instead of doing. See, this is going to be a curved side. There's no engine with this. So it's a curved side. So, rats. But no, I can understand why they don't want the public to do their engines. But, yeah, who cares? It's a car. Who cares? You know what I think about cars? I love them. But that's what I'm working on. I just started that just tonight, actually. I just finished doing my model show about a couple of minutes ago, before this lovely show started. And it was interrupted by a text message. So this month's show, not so long. It's only about a 20-minute show. But there you go. But that's all from me. That's all from me. Still working on my Lotus. In fact, I've done my engine and stuff like that in my Lotus 91T is all in. I've just got to put it together now. Just got to put the cowling and the tyres on and the decals, and then I'll be able to show it to you. So that's me done. Next.
Okay. Thanks, Heath. How's your summer coming to a close?
It's come to a close, all right.
Is it cooling off yet?
Tonight at 2 a.m. we turn the clocks backwards.
Which means?
Which means instead of me coming to join you around 10:30, I'll be with you at 9:30.
Oh, there you go. On the across the pond.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, you got the same time change as the UK then. Okay. Yeah. I was explaining to somebody on Facebook time travel paradoxes. When it comes to changing your clocks, they just didn't get it. And the way I stated it was correct. It was grammatically correct, and it was short to the point and understandable. That for the past 2 weeks, say our 2 in the afternoon or 2 in the morning came before your 2 in the morning, but yet you were so many hours ahead.
Yeah,
But they couldn't figure that out. They couldn't figure that out. Anyway, it's good to know that you'll be with us more often than not during Cross the Pond. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Heath, for that. Next up, we've got the guy who's smiling because he got his Uno. Explain what that means there, Jim. You got your Uno. That's not the card game, is it?
Well, it's not really the Uno. This is the Nano. But yeah,
Nano.
after 3 months, finally got my delivery of my Arduino board. So get that part.
Don't pull a Jamie on it.
We won't go there. Anyhow, yeah. I also picked up. People in RC would probably know exactly what these are, but these are nylon push rods.
Yep.
Which I need for this project.
Yeah. My RC shop closed because they retired and they had metal ones. They actually had piano wire.
Well, I didn't want piano wire. I wanted these because these ones are adjustable. Where the piano wire ones aren't, unless you buy the little gimbals to put into the connections, then you can adjust them. But
right.
Anyhow, but I got some more. I did some milling this week. Using my little setup here as a horizontal, my vertical mill here. And did the cutout for my servo
Fancy.
into the sub base.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really nice and easy. It makes it nice and neat doing it with the milling machine. Boink.
Where
So
did
that
you
is
get that lovely milling machine?
where did I get this one?
Yes, because
Wow.
I had that very same Dremel.
Well, I got the machine I got from Banggood. It's actually to the XY table and the matching drill press assembly I got from Banggood. The only thing I had to do was 3D print the insert that matches this this Dremel.
That's sexy. I like that.
So it makes it real easy to do a lot of things.
It makes it a drill press. What else does it do? Does it?
It can be set as horizontal or vertical. So you can turn the head 90 degrees. The only thing I wish it had was a down lock. I may come up with one for it.
Oh yeah, it'd be easy enough to put a stop somewhere to lock the handle.
Yeah, I just need something to. Well, I'm probably going to make an adjustable one. Probably 3D print something. I've already been sort of working on an ID.
Just put a little block there on. Yeah, just put a little block there.
A block, but an adjustable one.
Yeah.
One with a bolt in it that I can adjust the height of it.
Yeah.
And then I can just lock it down. Right now, I have to bring it to the height I want it and just hold it. It's not that hard to do, but it's a bit of
can you use like a router head on that too, or is that only for drilling?
No, that is a router head that's on there.
Oh, sweet.
Because I used that router bit for cutting my groove for the wires.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, no, you can use a router head on that. No problem at all. So it makes it a lot easier. Just clamp your job down. Now, one thing I do with this, which is really, I've liked doing this for years because it gives me a bit of safety, is that I have added a wink here, a foot switch.
Oh, okay.
So that gives me the ability to turn it off and on.
Hold both hands on your project.
I have both hands on my object, and if it jams up or whatever, I can just instantly kill the Dremel tool. So, because it works as long as you're doing it. And these are cheap. These are like $20 from. It's just the on-off one. It's not
What do you do for dust collection though? You run a vacuum next to it while you're doing it.
I have a little. When I'm doing this stuff, I have my little shop vac beside.
I'm surprised. What else you got under there, Jim? You're just yanking up all these tools from.
Well, it sure beats that hamster you have falling behind you.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sidetrack you there.
Yeah.
Oh,
No. So okay. I have the shop back there. I have to keep in this one. This one.
I need to get a little
say something about Jack. You know how you said you dropped the scratching from your name, Jack? My wife just came back and said, "Oh, what? He's lost the itch now, has he?"
No, it's a long story. It's kind of hokey, and somebody actually said on the what do you call it, on the Google Plus community, "Oh, I thought you had a skin condition." And I'm like, "Oh, that's not the message I wanted to send."
He has the heartbreaker psoriasis.
Heartbreaker psoriasis, yeah.
Sorry, Jim. Go on.
Wow.
Yeah. One thing I was originally planning on doing was mounting this board underneath here, but it's too tall.
Oh, yeah.
The terminal strip. I got the screw terminal strips. I've got the screw terminal strip shield attached to this, so I'll just have to mount it outside. But where it'll be mounted, you won't see it anyway. But it's just something else I have to do is to mount it outside of the board. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's pretty much where I'm at right now.
Right, but I'm more interested in your Nano.
Yes.
Have you got it working?
No, I haven't programmed it yet.
Oh, okay.
I've been doing some of the mechanical stuff, so I've been trying to get the mechanical stuff, and then once I get that done, maybe this week I might probably get it working, because I'll have get the linkage cut and installed, and then once I get that verified, then I'll program up the Nano.
Mm-hmm.
I have to build a harness anyway, so that they can bring the plug outside.
All right. Very good. Very good. It's been a long time there, mister. I haven't been around because I've been just very busy, but certainly we're going to hang out more.
Yeah.
Also, I'm still working on the community covers. And I thought this time I'd come up with some sort of a little poll taking for you guys. This is a little premature, and I think Chuck Brooks would agree. And I'm hoping that he posts something soon, because he has been working on his wooden build. And he's been working on his wood build, and it's the Mustang, and he's got as far as this.
Yeah.
And he's actually, no, he has it. I think he has it assembled at one point, and at some point anyway. But he did mention, this is the Facebook community. He said he's getting ready to paint. So I put it to you guys. He covered it with this tissue.
Yep.
What paint would you use? What kind of a paint would you use? I mean, that seems the tissue seems very delicate.
You could use any paint.
But you need something that will dry and constrict the surface material. So it's a dope. You normally use a dope.
Yeah, but you don't want to use dope. Now that you have to ventilate the room like crazy using that stuff.
Always.
What you do is lightly mist that tissue with paint with water, and it'll shrink up.
Yeah.
And then you can use whatever paint you want to use.
Like a Vallejo.
You could use your Vallejo. You could use your Tamiya, whichever one you want to do.
Would it be better to use like just a normal paint instead of a spray paint?
I wouldn't. I've never. Well,
I think you'll end up with a soggy mess if you do that. But
yeah. I would be worried about using acrylics and warping the wood.
Well, look, you won't be soaking it though.
You're not
Lou.
soaking it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just apply it lightly. You don't want to soak it anyway. Neither was the same as if you were painting any surface. You wouldn't want
This
to.
is why I don't do that, because
I would
If you
probably
want to seal it, before you paint it, take some white glue
Yep.
and water, put
okay.
it down, and then paint that over the tissue.
Wow,
that-
you stole my thunder. Yes, yes, exactly right. That's what because we're reading up on it. That's what they say to do is use the water, shrink it, but you want to follow up behind it with a mixture of a watered down white glue, and
Yeah,
you can do
you can
multiple ways.
use that, or unless you want to go out and buy sand sealer, you can use sand sealer too. But the white glue we've been used for years, and it's easy, it's cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you can do maybe an U.S. enterprise that way. That would be actually pretty cool to do a balsa model, cover it with tissue, and call it a day. See how that works out. That's just one of our community builds is the wooden build, balsa build. That's it's probably the original material that was used when scale modeling began a century ago, if not more, mainly in the UK. So that's going to be one of the community builds, as well as real space and nautical naval. Not your belly button, but naval meaning navy or
marine subjects.
NAVA.
Seafaring subjects, and if it happens to be like an F-15 on an aircraft carrier, that's what it is. It's going to be an F-15. So that's going to be.
The one thing that I've learned with tissue paper is that it's so thin. It's so thin. I mean, even a print picture rip it. It's that thin tissue paper.
Well, that's true. That's true there, Heath. But James would agree if you do a couple, 3 layers of that white glue watered down with a drying time in between, it'll come out pretty rigid.
It'll become pretty taut. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's pretty taut, pretty durable.
But like you're dealing with very thin plastic rather than paper.
Yeah.
After you
yeah. I mean, you can still damage it pretty easy, but not as easy if it happens to bump something. But that's when it came to RC. You know what? I don't know if that was really done in RC. I think it was done more because back in the day, RC started with gas powered, and I think the fuel would just destroy it for sure.
What's that?
If you had a gas powered motor in it, if you were doing like an RC from back in the old days, and if you build a model like that, I think the fuel, if you're like leaking the fuel, that would certainly, harm that paper.
No, we used to do it all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you'd use fuel-proof dope. It was a type of paint that resisted the nitromethane.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough. But that's what they used to be made of at first, before they got into the nickel cadmium batteries that are very durable for whatever.
Styrene and just cut some styrene. Just get some sheets of styrene and just cut that and then put it over the wood.
That's an awful lot of extra work, and you'll find it'll be more work than what it's worth.
Yeah. So I'm thinking of doing that as the Facebook community cover. What do you guys think? That's
sure.
Yeah, sure. To push. I feel like a drug addict. Push the whole idea of the community builds, and also for the my heart goes out to Bob, but he certainly did, I think, a build which is even beyond his. I don't want to say his ability. This is, to me, his best build, and that you know what I'm talking about.
The hustler. That thing.
Yeah. Beautiful build, that one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can get it bigger.
It really did. It's a
Is it-
really great build. That is not an easy plane to build. It's not. I've built one. And I thought the B-52 was a hard one.
I'm not sure which slide, but I think I'll probably use this slide because there's a lot of he's showing off a lot of painting technique in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, this is just so incredible.
I love how he's got the burnt look.
Yeah.
On the end. That looks beautiful.
Yeah, this might be even all clad. I
No,
think he's
it's not.
AK Interactive, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was AK.
he what?
AK Interactive.
AK Interactive is a paint.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a silver paint. It's a true silver paint.
wow.
You can get it in bottles. You can even get it in tubes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
tubes are harder to handle.
Yeah. Yeah. It.
I've said this to Bob before. That is just one of the best builds of that particular aircraft that I've seen.
Start calling him Bob the Builder.
This is called the Hustler.
Yep.
Yes, B-58.
Yeah, George is saying it's a Butte. I think it's even more than a Butte. It's actually it's I think it is. I think it's his best build to date. Is what I'm saying. And you know what? This is a level that we all strive to get to. And he certainly, I feel as though he's reached that level. So I'm probably going to be using this. The background is kind of funky too. That picnic table.
I
But
will never get that good. I will never get that good.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah, the weathering on the picnic table is wonderful.
oh, yes, that's experience.
Good scale effect too.
That was started out as brand new wood, and he weathered the hell out of it. Took him years.
No,
Did it?
I don't ever think, this might be a bit self-deprecating, but I don't think that I would ever get that good.
No, we don't either.
I don't think I'd
we're
ever
not
get
sure
that
that either.
We don't think you'll ever be that good either, Heath.
Oh, okay.
Why? Oh,
I felt
wasn't gonna say it. I wasn't going to say it. Thanks,
Now
Lou.
we've dared you. Now we've dared you, Heath.
We figured you out. Okay.
Hey, prove him wrong. Hey, prove him wrong.
I'll tell you what, if this car, I'll tell you what, if this McLaren turns out good, I'll tell you what, you won't be hearing the end of it.
Didn't understand that.
It says if the McLaren turns out well, you'll never hear the end of it.
Oh, there you go. Okay, got it. Speaking of weathering, this isn't exactly a weather job. This is just the way he looks. How you doing, Liam?
Jack is cruel today.
It's one of those things. Yes, I know.
Well, you muted me. Come on. I
I want abuse. I'll go to your abuse station.
Yeah. Did you sign up for the full? Did you sign up for 5 minutes or the full half hour?
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, gentlemen.
George still loves you there, Heath, so be okay with that. All right. I'm sorry, Liam. Go ahead.
At last, I have something to show that looks like I've been working on this.
Yeah, finally.
About bloody time.
Oh, that's lucky, would you, ladies and gentlemen?
A little bit of issue with the decals, which I'm trying to get them to settle down more.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Oh wow!
That goes we're so well behaved.
Yep, and
Is that the 1,350 or is that the 1,600?
you're the third person who's thought it was the 1,350. Heath, it's not. It's the 1,600.
I thought it was.
Yeah, it's the Ravel.
How did you get rid of those lines?
With a lot of work.
I
That's
can
why
tell
it's been out since last July. So I'm happy with how she's turning out. still a bit to do. I still have the a few more of the decals on the bottom to do. I have to add in the top and bottom glass or bridge
Domes.
and finally the bazaar collectors, which I have here, which I haven't fitted yet. They're here. They're in 2 pieces. They come as 2 pieces. I'll put this down. I'll show you what I mean. Do you have an inner and an outer?
I see.
The problem being, this one needs these lines painted, and I've tried a couple of times, and I've made a mess of it. So I'm trying to come up with a method that works.
Sharpie.
Sharpie, yeah.
Hadn't thought of that, Heath. Or sorry, Lou. Thank you very much. That's all. That's perfect. Thank you. Hopefully that'll work. And then finally, she'll all be put.
So sure, if that was an insult to Lou or an insult to Heath.
It was an all-purpose insult.
It's an insulter.
Finally, she'll be on the base.
The back.
Yes, that looks good. That looks really nice. I like it.
Hey, you're giving me an idea about my Excelsior there, Liam.
Sorry?
You're giving me an idea for my Excelsior here.
Go for it, whatever it may be. Go for it. And the very final thing, then we'll be connecting up the effects board, which is the what I'm still worried that I've lost a connection or something. I just with all the experiences that Jamie's been through, I always worry that I'm going to end up with the same problem. So I hope, being Easter week, I've sometime on Tuesday, I might get it finished this week. I hope so. The weekend's busy because the family are all here, but during the week, hopefully get it finished. And then I will move on to the real space build. So instead of using this silly thing for the lunar module, piece of poo.
It does look like plastic diarrhea.
I have a base, an MDF base that I painted grey.
Oh, that'd be pretty.
Use the original base as like a template to get your legs even.
Yes, which is why if you look, it's been marked with blue. I'm trying to transfer the spacing.
All right, yeah.
So I will, and then I'll just put that upside down. You get the location correct, and then take it off again. Or I may put down the basic landscape effect first. Press that into it, Randall. It's another way of doing it. So either way, I'll get it there.
And then throw that piece out the window.
I did that the other night.
Boy, that rubber, that plastic poo made a noise.
Yes.
Liam, the other thing you could do is put some like saran wrap around the legs and then set it down for your spacing, and then put your surface effects down.
Just using
polyfill. Okay.
Fine, it'll do for the purpose.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking about my Titanic here when I build that. Can that be used for like an ocean or something like that?
It will tend to flatten itself. It'll tend to flatten over time, Heath. It won't hold the shape. You're trying to get a wave.
Yeah. Depends how deep you want your water. If you're
what about flat, like a flat car?
I would do that. Yeah. Although you've the problem then of the white, the polyfill itself is a white base. You have to have a lot of work getting the color right then.
You can dye it, but you can buy dyes to put dye in it. You can dye it.
Yeah, but you can't get the back. You can't. I think what I'm trying to say is you can't get the wave break with the bow steaming along.
What James suggested about cover the ship in cling film, poly or saran wrap, whatever you call it in the States and elsewhere, but cover it in that and then push it into the stuff. Then at least so you're still talking a hell of a depth to get down to the waterline on the ship, Heath.
Yeah, a heck of a lot. Talk about that.
You'd be better off
the
Water. If you're doing depth, if you're doing a full hulled ship, is to cut that area out with foam, and then build it up with sheet foam, and then put your spackling on top of that.
right, gotcha.
I mean, that's why over the last year or so I've been collecting. Every time I see a packaging with polystyrene foam in it, what's it called?
Yeah, polystyrene foam.
Airy foam. Yeah.
Styrofoam.
Well, polystyrene is what our kits are made of, so it can't be poly something, whatever, the air foam.
Polyurethane.
Just been collecting as much as I can because I've a ship to do myself, and that's the plan, to use this to cut out the basic shape. Because you want the basic shape. Sorry?
Speaking of ships, where's Mr. David? I thought he would have been with us tonight.
Well, Liam, you could bandsaw the bottom of the ship away, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not doing it, Luke. You could do that, yeah. But again, it's getting the water line. You know, you still want to leave a little bit of.
Yeah.
It's just getting it, and then some ships won't lend themselves to that. You could end up bandsawing your fingers off.
Yeah.
So
You mean like this? You mean like that?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
So that's why I'm up to the minute, Jack. I'd say hopefully that enterprise will be finished this week. A week, 10 days, I hope. Done, dusted.
Oh, you know what?
And
I'm
then
going to show you. You posted a couple of
miracle.
you posted a couple of pictures. Let's see. I'm going to screen share those. Yeah, I was actually truly impressed when I saw it.
You see, Jack, that's what happens when you build a good enterprise.
At least it's not melted. Yes, you're right. I immediately knew it was the Revell kit because of the command decks at the top, because it just doesn't have that tier shape as sharp at the back end here.
just to say thanks again to the pointer about the cooling thing at the back, that we call them the
I can't remember the name of them.
I know the
cooling fins in the back of the nacelles.
Yeah.
Because the kit ones were awful, but those are the ones from the ancient old AMT, and they just look so much better. So these ones instead of the kit ones. So
What amazing to me is that the AMT kit was what, 650 something, and the Revell is supposed to be 600 scale, but the various bits and pieces seem to fit together.
Again, like I showed the last time.
Yeah, it was kind of odd.
Except for the saucer, yeah.
Yeah,
And
not much of a difference.
the fact that the saucer has raised panel lanes.
Yeah, except these are.
Well, that's your deflector grid.
That's the vintage style. I think that's what it is, Lou. They just didn't know how to do panel lines inwards rather than outwards at that stage. So,
Yeah. They said, well, you have to engrave those lines, and they engraved them in the molds instead of in the ships.
yes.
Is that lighted, Liam?
Sorry?
Is that ship going to be lighted?
Oh, yeah. I've got, the boards here. That's what I'm saying. That's the one thing I'm worried about, Heath. A little Big Easy Modeling Solutions board when it's all color-coded.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Bernie had joined us. I don't know where he disappeared to. I want to talk to more about.
we'll try and add him in again, because I know he was online. Hold on. I'll try and add him again.
Yeah, because he and Neil are doing the electronics over across the pond to make it cheaper for you folks.
Yeah, that's one of these boards.
Yeah.
I'll try and add him in because he is online, so hopefully I get him. Hold on.
Yeah, I just want to have a few words with him and say hello and stuff. And in the meantime, dead air.
Dead air.
So is that everything there, Liam? You're going to try to raise them and be it. You're good. You've gotten everything. Open.
That's me up to date at the minute, and
Cool.
I'll get stuck into the space build, and then I may do a small Bandai build just to try and get sort of done quickly, and then I'll move on to the X-wing the next stage, which is what this is for. That's the X-wing effect. So, and again, it's it's a nice system with everything screwed down terminals. You can see the size. It's just minute.
What is it? Lights or sounds?
That's lighting only. He's working on sound. I'm sure if he joins us, he'll tell us where he's at with that one, because I know the sounds sort of everyone wants sound as well as effects. The only problem about effects is that if you had an Enterprise or something sitting on a shelf in your living room, lights will look fantastic, but if you had the engine sounds and everything going ad infinitum, it would drive you nuts. But that's probably switchable. You'll probably have a control for it. I've messaged him anyway, so hopefully he'll join us. I'll text him even on my phone and say to him as well. That's me up to date, Jack.
All right, very good. I just want to do a little screen share again. The Facebook community. Boy, these car builders are just like going crazy over there. I love it. That's another one of my favorite genres. And I'm just picking this one up, just going through. I mean, because there's a lot of posts here, and the reason I'm picking this up is because two reasons. Funny cars aren't exactly something that are built very often, and when they are, I'm just like, this is amazing. And not only that, this is part of a diorama that Philip put together. Let's see. Look at that. It's just well, I think that pen there kind of takes it away, but certainly it's a pretty cool diorama with all the tires and all the hardware around the workbench and toolboxes and stuff. Really, really full-bodied, and especially the background with all those signs. Very much a full-bodied diorama build. So. Yeah, I mean, just in the Facebook community seems to be much more angled to cars. Although you would find sci-fi, aircraft, all the other genres are very well represented there. But cars just seem to take it. Lately, there have been a lot of cars and trucks, pickup trucks, and semis have been posted a lot too. So. I'm wanting to do that too myself, but I only.
Actually, what I want to do with the truck is actually make it so I can put one of my F1 cars in there.
Exactly. Exactly. One of those covered trailers or a trailer with one of your Formula cars. In fact, for you, I thought of you, Heath, past couple of weeks. I went downstairs to the basement to my old workbench, which is now my spray booth, and I cleaned up quite a bit. Now that my house is sold and it's over with, it's done, closed on it just 3 days ago, and all these tools, all these materials, leftover materials, are just dumped in my basement. And now, little by little, I'm going down there and cleaning up. And where my workbench is, there's this like kitchen counter with cabinets that's just been buried with stuff, literally buried. And I uncovered a lot of stuff. And you know what I uncovered? I should have brought it up. Uncovered the Ferrari, right? The Ferrari, yes. I uncovered the Ferrari, and I thought, you know what? Maybe I'm ready to build this. I absolutely totally forgot about it too. But it was nice to unbury it and see that maybe I could do something like that on the diorama aspect. But I always say that I'm going to do these things, but I never have the time. But now I will. I'll get into what my life is going to be like moving forward. But first, I want to talk to Lou. How you doing, Lou?
I'm wonderful today. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Thank you very much for asking. So what's going on?
Oh, not much. Doing a little bit of spring cleaning, same as you.
Same here.
Very nice. Doing some yard work, getting some spraying done. Working on a couple of kits. This guy, which is from Space 1999, was in the 2-part episode, and kind of a background kit, but nice casting from. I guess this was taken from the studio kit, studio scale size or filming model size or whatever you want to call it. But it's a nice kit, and I'm working on something that I cannot easily grab. Oh, this is going to be a mess. Oh, here you go. This is the
pilot from Vasco.
Yeah, this is the pilot kit from Hunky Junk. And I'm trying to do a nice mix of doing a kit and a figure at the same time. That's my normal pattern, is to do a kit and a figure. You thought I know what this is. It's my fine Australian production. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the pilot from Moya and from Vasco.
That's the one.
But this is, since I finally finished Christopher Johnson, this was the next one on the list.
I love that show. I absolutely loved that show. I love Vasco.
But that's been my week, trying to get some semblance of order around here and doing some cleaning and some excavating, sort of like you, Jack, as far as discovering things I didn't even remember I had.
It's like finding a $5 bill in a dryer, you know?
Yeah. I'm going through the paints and I'm going, well, I need to go get paint. Let's see what I got. Oh, I have that paint. I don't need to go.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually pretty cool. I haven't seen your video. I just seen gone over to the Google Plus community, and you have posted the video on that, and I have yet to watch it. But gosh, I feel like as much as I'm catching up with stuff, I feel like I'm still behind.
I'm finding a pace that I like, and that was to try to do a little bit of something every day, but not try to do, like 8-hour sessions every day. Cutting back. Yes. I don't have as much to show for at the end of the week, but I'm not burning out.
Right. Exactly right. So, yeah, we're going to be talking a little later about Wonderfest. Are you excited? 60 some days left.
You betcha. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I'm going to take. Probably not going to take as much this year as I have in the past, only because I've been doing a lot of delicate stuff that won't travel
well.
Well, I expect to be taking things too, but that would be on the way back.
Yeah.
There. I'm going to take a little water change and take things home and not take things there.
The great thing about that is you don't have to pay for shipping.
It's instant gratification is what that's about.
Well, plus you can open up, especially if it's a garage kit, you can open it up and inspect the parts while you're there. So if something is missing, or if something is broken or poorly cast, you can say, hey, give me another one. I don't like this.
But you know something, Lou, with all that being said, you know what I'm looking forward to, what I'm really looking forward to is sharing a pint with you.
It's the beer.
Yep, definitely.
It's the beer.
So anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm really excited because when I left the settlement, that was actually the first thing I thought of was Wonderfest, because I've been talking about it for how many years? 3 years at least. And certainly I wanted sure to be making it. And it's really funny because I was talking to my other half, and I said, we're just going to take ourselves, but I'm going to be bringing a lot home, or at least I hope it's satisfying. And this is the expression I got.
That's typical Matt response.
Yeah, so I'll go to the show, but I think I'll probably be hanging around the vendors a bit and seeing what they have to say, what they're making, and all this sort of crap. I really need to go. I really need to see the real world of scale modeling.
What you do, Jack, is you wait until there's about 2 hours left in the show, and you go around the vendors, and they'll sell you stuff for half the price that they wanted originally, because they want to get
Saturday, yeah, Sunday morning. Sunday afternoon.
Desperation.
Yeah, well, certainly. But yeah, I think we're considering staying there Sunday night and coming back Monday. So it's only it's a 7-hour drive if you include stops for me, which is like, that's how much it took me to get to the Eclipse. So not a big deal. Anyway, Bernie, how you doing?
Hello.
How you doing, Bernie?
Hi. Hi. All right.
Bernie's
Yeah,
back.
you came and you went, and I want to be sure that this time you came and I said hello. Hello.
Hi. Yeah. Actually, I was having a bit of breakup on the signal, and thought maybe it's because I got HD. So I clicked on HD, and everything went. Oh, all right, then I'm out of here. So you lot disappeared.
So how was the electronics business going?
Well, yeah, it's sort
Here
of. It's mainly I'm just concerned with writing a few programs for this existing board for Neil
Okay.
for different applications. We've got a couple of simple ones: emergency vehicles, lights. X-wing fighter, TIE fighter, the sort of simple things like that. My problem is getting down pat what people actually want. I've got my ideas about what I've seen, but I've not seen all the films.
Yes.
So if anybody can give me a list of what lights flash in what order and what color and everything, that would be great.
Okay, well, that's pretty much how Ralph went about it too. He knew nothing. He hung around the communities to figure it out. Your market would probably be a little more different than maybe the American market because of your. Well, I just seen a video. I think it was on Facebook of a floodwaters going down the street carrying a porta potty, and it looked like Doctor Who's call box. So don't mind Doctor Who. He's just he's in transit right now. So you do have I do know the call box has a flashing light on top of it. That sort of thing.
Jack, would that be Dr. Pooh?
Dr. Pooh, yes.
Thank you. Tip your waiter. I'm here all week.
Well, you know what? You get the prize there, Lou, because you even made Randall moan.
Actually, I suppose Lou would be the right name.
Exactly. There you go. There you go. That's been my crippling burden to bear.
Well, why do you think I go by Jack and not John? So
Yeah.
You don't know Jack.
I don't know Jack, but it sure is better than going. It sure is better than going to the John. So anyway.
Oh. God.
All right, enough of the scatology.
What's your first name, will you?
So you're saying that there's a learning curve to all of this, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a case of I've developed the hardware. It's now a case of developing the software, depending on what people want. Really, if people say, can it do this? The chances are I'd like to say, yeah, it can, but I can't produce a working example of each one because I'm only an individual. I can't afford to go out and buy each individual kit and say, look, it'll do this, it'll do that, and it'll do the other. Basically, if you've got something and it's got lots of flashing lights, it'll do it. That's basically it. I'm actually working on the next one along that'll have twice as much flashing lights and fiddly bits, but it'll also be able to operate relays, mains operated stuff, and have sound.
Oh wow, yes.
So I'm thinking, I'm trying to split my time between doing the software for the existing board and developing the hardware for the new board. But I'm trying to work out what people actually want, because there's no point in putting a load of stuff on a board, saying, there you go, it can do all this, that, and the other. And people saying, yeah, that's great, but we don't want that. We just want something.
That only helps if you only decide to make one board design and it does everything. And then you can use the same board, for every ship, or you can make specialized boards for each ship, whichever works out best for your manufacturing, business model.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you see, is just that I've got well, loads of these, you know, these little boards.
Uh-huh.
And at the moment, they're just dumb boards. They don't do a thing.
Right.
But as soon as I put a program on them, they'll do whatever that program tells them to do. It's working out what programs to have stockpiled, so that if someone says, yeah, I'd like something for, I don't know, we'll say a TIE fighter, then I can say, sure, I can burn the program to it, send it out, there you go. Same for X-Wing or Millennium Falcon or plain old aircraft. I mean, one of the ones that Neil and I were tossing around, he said, what about a generic vehicle? Land, you know, a car.
Yeah, a car that has headlights, turn signals, tail lights.
Yeah. Well, that's great, but the only thing is about that is there's only one thing that you'd need the board for, and that's the flashing turn signals, because all the rest you can do with just simple on-off switches.
Yeah, but you could do a different startup sequence and things like that. You could run through an actual auto show.
Yeah, sure, I can do that. But if everybody wants the same one, then I can develop a program for that. But if everybody wants different versions, you know, or my car starts up in a different sequence,
well, then at some point you have to say, no, this is what I'm offering. And, if you want to adapt it on your own, go ahead. But
sure. Yeah, well, that's basically the sort of way I've been doing, because I've been looking more, because I've got a wiring diagram here that will suit almost any vehicle. And basically, you've got one of these boards, and all it does is just puts out a flashing signal. Because all the rest is just plain lighting. You can do the switches. You don't need to go to the expense of buying a board, you see. And you could buy something cheaper, just if you just wanted something flashing. However, if you want something like an emergency vehicle that's got a different pattern of flashing lights on it, then I can program that board to give you different versions of the flashing lights. And then flick a switch and you can choose what you want, whether it's an ambulance, a police car, a breakdown, a wrecking truck, you know, whatever, you know.
I think you're on the right path. If I may interrupt, I think you're on the right path with that, with cars, because I think there's a lot of car builders that are getting into the emergency vehicles, like the police cars, the emergency vehicles and whatnot. I think that's a sure thing, and they do go through a pattern of flashes and strobes, and
which are probably different for UK versus
France and the US and Canada. Yeah, I think that's. But I even think it's even different among municipalities here too.
Each municipality has.
But Bernie, what I'm thinking is, if you're talking about your generic set for any car of a certain scale, what the modeler is going to value is the plug and play aspect of that. As long as you provide the board and the bulbs and the wiring, that's the convenience they're buying. They're not necessarily, and it's going to add that much to their presentation. They don't care that it only makes a light blink. What they're worried about is it going to give me the right lighting for the scale of my ship or my car, so that the headlight doesn't look like it's a lighthouse lamp.
Sure,
it looks like it's in scale to the car.
Yeah,
so figuring out the voltage and resistance and that kind of stuff is brain work that the model builder doesn't have to do.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's the one thing that I've been worried about the whole way through. The problem is there are so many different variations that you could possibly come up with that I can't really dedicate to providing I mean, the ideal thing for anybody who's building a model is, I want to light it, I want to do this, I want an off the shelf, or I want to open the box and I want to be able to use everything that's in that box. Problem is everything that's in that box will fit his kit, but nobody else's.
Yeah.
The next guy along says, well, mine's very similar, I'll have one the same, but the wires need to be a bit longer.
Well, no, I'm not saying, I'm sorry, I'm not saying that you have to do the complete wiring harness. I'm saying give them all the parts and let them do their own. Let them do their own assembly of it.
Yeah, like one of the big things, especially when you're talking intensity of LEDs, there's different intensities of LED lights. They'll come with different.
But
they'll
what,
like
but what I'm
handle
saying,
limbers.
if you gave them a generic headlight, maybe high and low beam, if you're going to be that picky about it, then that's going to satisfy the largest chunk of your audience. There's always going to be somebody who wants something specialized. And you could certainly, hey, you want something custom, contact me at blah, blah, blah. Here's my email. We can work out something. But what you're interested in is mass marketing, is to get what's going to make the most people happy for the least amount of trouble on your end.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from there. It's whether or not, is the intention to supply just the board, which is what I've got at the moment, or do I supply them with the LEDs? That
I think the ones that the lighting kits that I've had the most success with have provided the boards, the LEDs, the resistors, or if the resistance is done on the board, then just the board and the LEDs, and lengths of wire that they have to cut themselves, and to match their particular kit. But
so that's no problem. But I'm just trying to play devil's advocate to my own argument here. You've got LEDs that are 5 mil diameter. You've got LEDs that are 3 mil.
Right.
Diameter. You've got SMD. It depends on the scale of your model.
That's exactly right. But you can generalize and say, okay, for 24 scale, the headlights are this big, because you look at all cars. Most cars have the same size headlight. So you could say, okay, at this scale, you're going to use a 5 mil. At this scale, it's a 3 mil. And you sell it as, okay, this is a 1/24 scale car lighting kit. This is a 1/72 car scale lighting kit. Yeah. And you provide it that way, and that gives them some sort of product breakout only in the size of the bulbs.
Yeah, sure. I mean that is a doable, certainly a doable thing.
Bernie, as from a buyer's point of view, which I bought a number of lighting kits from Ralph. Ralph supplies all the LEDs, but as a customer, I've tended to use a lot of my own LEDs and SMDs in the models. So he just supplies the standard basic set of LEDs for everybody. If you choose to use something else, then that's the customer's choice. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah,
it's
I mean, as a catch-all situation, 3 mil LEDs will cover pretty much everything, unless you're doing something very, very tiny scale. I mean, if you're doing something bigger scale, you can have more than one LED if you need more light area.
Right.
It's just certain models lend themselves to a round LED, some square, some even strip. I mean, if we come off the generic land vehicle and go to, we'll say for sake of argument, Millennium Falcon.
That's a different animal. I was talking about your car stuff.
Yeah, sure. I think you're right. I mean, I can supply LED lengths of wire. The only variable then you're talking about is how you're going to power your lighting. Are you going to do it off a wall wart? Are you going to do
all you need to worry about really at that point is having 2 power inputs on your board, and tell your modeler it's up to them whether or not they want to run it off a battery or whether they want to run it off of a wall wart.
Yeah.
I think Bertie, I think what you're doing is you're doing too much of the modeler's work.
Yeah,
what you need to be doing is providing your light board, and then the modeler will figure out a lot about how it's going to be used.
Yeah, well, that's it. That you're perfectly right, because I perhaps made a rod from my own back by saying, well, look, these boards will work off everything from 6 to 15 volts.
That's all you got to tell them. Let them figure out how they're going to get the power to it.
Yeah, the problem there is that voltage.
Whether they want to use the battery or use the mains.
Sorry, what did you say, Jamie?
Then the modeler can choose whether he wants to use batteries or use the mains.
Yeah, that's
fine.
As
long as the board can take that sort of charge,
yeah,
then it's down to the customer.
Yeah, but the problem is that voltage that they choose is the voltage that's fed to the LEDs. that will then decide on the size of resistor you need.
That's the only question you need to worry about, is whether you are.
Well, let me interject on that one, because I just recently posted. I used what did I use there, Jim? A decade counter.
Yeah.
Of 4017 IC, an integrated circuit, and I was blending two channels into one, and I was having problems with feedback and the like. And I've discovered that the board works great at 5 volts. Now the resistance on the LEDs themselves did not exist. I use like a blue or a white LED, which takes a 3.2, I believe, forward voltage.
3.2, yeah.
Yeah, and I was running the board on a 9 volts, and it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But the what I wanted to do is take the 10-channel operation and make it a 5-channel. So basically, when it goes through the sequence of 10, it goes 5 and then take the 6th channel.
The
first, the 7 with the second. And then when I had it at 9 volts, it almost seemed like it was random. And then I have the video on Facebook. And also, when I reduced the voltage down to 5,
mm-hmm.
then it ran it in sequence just fine. But I'm using 9 volts. I just can't use 5. I have to use 9. Because the difference between 5 and 9 volts is the intensity of the LED.
Right.
Now, I got the intensity with that board at 9 volts, but the operation is better on 5, but by then the LEDs are much dimmer.
Yep.
But I did find out why it was doing that. Jim and I just talked earlier before the show, and I told him, I think I have an answer. I told him, and he says, that's exactly what the problem is. So basically, it had to do with my diodes that are putting the two channels together need to be replaced. I'm using the wrong diodes. But long and short of it, when it comes to lighting a kit, though, I think modelers are going to choose between 6 and 12 volts. I don't think 15 or 16 is something they're going to get into.
No.
Okay. But I'd say the only issue, and still 6 to 12, that's a pretty big jump.
Yeah.
And what I found, that whenever an LED is resisted properly, it will take the 6 volt just the same as it will take the 12 volts without an exchange of resistance, but the intensity is different.
Yeah, the thing is that with an LED, you got a forward voltage, and anything, if you try overdriving it, you're not going to get it lasting long. If you drive an LED with a higher resistance than it needs, then all you're doing is cutting the current that's going through it.
Yep.
And that will just make it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you would build the circuit to be the 12 volts. The resistance is gauged for 12 volts, and if the modeler wants to use 6 or 9 volts, that's what they're going to use. But I mean, you can't satisfy all the voltages. Is my point. I'd say do the highest denominator there and go with that, and call it a day.
Yeah, the design of this board is such that no matter what voltage you put in, provided it's no lower than 6 and no higher than 15,
right,
then the internal circuitry, the actual bit that does the work, takes the 5 volts that it needs. It's got its own regulator, and the voltage that you're feeding in is the voltage that it controls. So if you're saying, I'm going to feed this 12 volts, I've got 12 volts, fine, that's the voltage that your LEDs will run at. The board itself will run at its own 5 volts. It takes what it needs. All the rest is just the LEDs. So the circuitry is, if you like, regardless, forget the circuitry, that just takes what it needs. The voltage you supply to the board is the voltage you're going to be driving your LEDs at. So if you want to use 9 volts, then you have to resistor the LEDs to match 9 volts.
Oh, yeah, but I think the difference between 12 and 9 volts isn't great enough, but I do think between 6 and 12 is great enough for a difference.
Oh, yeah. but it's I mean, I generally resistor my LEDs to run at about 15 milliamps. 20 to 25 milliamps is the maximum that you drive an LED at, otherwise you just pop it.
Right.
Anything below 10, it starts to get a little bit dim. So really anything between 10, 20 milliamps, that's the sort of current you need to run it at to get your brightness. If you want variable brightness, then instead of changing the voltage, you basically pulse it on and off fast or slower. Pulse width modulation it's called. But I think if I say, okay, it's designed to run at 9 volts.
Mm-hmm.
What I tend to do is, with each of these boards that goes out, there's a leaflet that tells them tell people how to use it, and it'll tell you there, if you're using 9 volts, these are the resistors you need. If you're using 12 volts, these are the resistors you need. If you're using 6 volts, these are the resistors. That though puts the onus on the modeler to provide their own resistors, so they're going to have to be able to solder. You know? Well,
that's fair enough. I mean, I guess that's fair enough. They provide their own resistance, and Lou is right. I think if you provide with the core, that's all. Because after all, that's what a kit is. It's a core of a build, and then the modeler will just do what they need to do to make it their own. And I don't see it being any different with electronics. Just the same. They just don't want to do all the figuring out. The learning curve would. Imagine how much manpower will be placed on scale models if everybody had to figure this out on their own. Well, I am figuring it out on my own on IC circuits, on integrated circuits. That's my thing. One of these days I'll delve into Arduino and programmable things. But in the meantime, I think though what Lou is saying, that if you give them the shell, the core of whatever you're doing, let them figure it out. And yeah, I think, like Ralph provides the LEDs and resistors, and then there's Jamie. He says, well, yeah, he provides all those things, but he ended up using his own things to make it fit for him. Because after all, we get the kits and we make it our own. That's the whole idea of the hobby.
Yeah. So I think probably then, I think what we're looking at here is the answer would be to provide some LEDs.
Yeah.
And then it's with the right resistors. And then it's up to the modeler to decide, no, those are too big, I'll replace them with smaller ones, or they're not big enough, I'll replace them with bigger ones, because physical size isn't going to make any difference to the voltages. And
it's not. No, it's not.
But at the end of the day, as long as the board that you're doing does what it says it's going to do, then then the model themselves will choose how bright or not bright the LED is going to be.
Yeah, it's just that I like to provide stuff that will be able to be working out of the box,
yeah, customer service is what you're saying. It's customer service. You want to provide that. And I don't blame you for wanting to provide that, but I think customer service and scale modeling is more in the effect of, how do I do this? And not so much providing everything for the scale modeler, because that's what our job is in the hobby, is to figure these things out to make it our own. So I think you're going on the right track nonetheless there, Bernie. So keep it up. I really looking forward to seeing great things coming out of you, because when I was struggling as in posting my whole drama, Neil was like, why don't you buy one of our boards? We'll take care of it. Okay, but that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it to have fun and trying to work out a puzzle,
That's right. It's the sense of achievement that you get at the end. The more that you've had to do for yourself, the more sense of satisfaction you get out of it. I know what you mean. It's you could go together. You can go out and buy a clip together self-colored model, and it might look half decent, but I didn't do that.
Like the Revell Star Wars kits now, they're pre-painted and pre-decaled. All you do is snap the thing together and it's done. That's for a generation who likes to push buttons and do games on computers. For us more seasoned ones, or if there is a younger modeler who is more seasoned, that becomes very dull. Basically, those snap kits are already painted and already set to go. That's the gateway drug into the hobby. So
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so it has a place.
Yeah.
It has a place, but when you're talking about electronics like what you're doing, you're talking about a modeler who's been around the block a few times and are doing things like that to keep from getting bored.
I think actually this is probably the difference between myself and Ralph. Ralph is able to supply a finished product, if you like.
Yes.
Whereas I'm saying, here you go. Here's the raw materials. You do what you like with it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a good. And I originally thought the main reason is because of the expense in shipping and that incredible tax you folks pay from foreign purchases.
Value added business. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have to pay that if it's produced in the UK and sold in the UK.
Well, so you're telling me this. I've got something here. This is a cycle computer, okay? A new one developed by an American company or American-run company called Hammerhead. It's all Android-based. Great, fantastic thing. Cost me a couple of £100, which is fine. I'm not prepared to pay that. But 75 import duty.
Yes.
You know, it's 75 quid on something that costs 200. That hurts.
Well, that's 25%, isn't it? 75 and 200 is 25%.
It's slightly more than that, isn't it? Yeah.
It's slightly more than that, maybe. Okay, I don't know my math. That's why my electronics don't work.
You're charged the import duty. First of all, you're charged the import duty first of all.
Yeah.
And then they base the VAT on the value of the item and the import duty.
And the import, you pay.
So they tax the tax.
They tax twice.
Yeah.
Well, you know, all the power to you, Bernie, because I'm glad that somebody in the UK, because I really feel bad. And I'm getting kind of tired writing gift on those customs things.
Yeah. They're going to rumble you one day.
Yeah, well, you know, when you got friends across the pond, you feel their pain and you want to help out as much and as best as you can. And it's good to see that you're doing this. It really is. We just got to get moving on the show here. It's been great talking to you. I don't want to cut you off, but certainly I really appreciate you stopping by and letting us know, keeping us updated. Hey, this is across the pond. So in other words, you're welcome to come in on every other Saturday and give us a progress update if you feel it necessary, and even put out the call, hey, contact me, give me ideas, give me something to do. And that would certainly help you and help you folks out over on the Grand Old Isles. So anyway, moving forward, and this gentleman has been so incredibly patient, and that's how I know him as, and he's got that sense of humor too. And I just thought I'd stop by and say, hi, Randall.
Hi, Jack. I'm very patient, yes, but you should see me behind the wheel of a car. Nah,
That's because you guys driving the wrong side of the road, and so does everybody else. That's why.
Before it starts, Happy Easter, everyone.
Yes.
Hey, it's the poo again.
Oh, Winnie. Oh, Father. Honey.
There's been a couple of those memes floating around. Yeah.
You can find any chocolate in that egg.
Looking for honey.
Free hugs.
I can't go to sleep now. I'm going to be awake all night tonight thinking about that.
The stuff of your nightmares. I'm here to tell you.
Nightmares that have to do with Winnie the Pooh. That's actually pretty bad. Anyway. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Don't mind me.
I've been doing a wee bit of odds and ends. I've been working on this
Jet Provost.
Jet Provost trainer. Yes, what do you call it? The thing, Central Flying School. It was based at Little Rissington.
Was that the Flying Pelicans?
That's them. Yep, they're the Red Pelicans. Yeah, and just waiting for the setting solution to dry on this, so I can give it its final clear coat.
You got the jet wash coming out the back there, then, Randall.
Very convenient holding handle. But yeah, if I did it in flying, just do it, with that sticking out the back. But then
Nice paint job, Randall.
I'd have to rearrange the cockpit to get the pilots back in again. So anyway, that's that. I'm also doing some of the detail painting work on this wee Falcon before I weather the heck out of it.
That's really cool.
If you put those in the wash, they shrink.
You just got to watch those washes, Lou. I mean, they shrink your plastic. Yeah.
I think what's so impressive about that is how much details on it.
Isn't it? You see the side panels there?
Yeah.
They're
sharp. They're sharp and not blurry. Yeah.
And I've decided to join in the nautical build. I was going to say the naughty build, but no, that wouldn't be quite nice. With this.
You did the rescue boat last year for a society who was giving it away.
Apparently, there's been a bit of a falling out with the between members of the committee, and my folks still sitting back there waiting for somebody to come along and buy it.
What size is that?
Oh, U-boat.
Yep.
What size is that, Randall?
Oh, that's a U-boat.
72 scale.
Wow.
And it's a big beast.
Yeah.
That won't fit.
If it's the USS Trump, it'd be called the me boat, not the U-boat.
My
That one, the trumpeter kit?
The Ravel kit.
Ravel kit? Okay.
Trumpeter actually are doing I think it's a 48 scale.
Yeah.
So like it'll be half as big again.
Mm-hmm.
In length.
That definitely won't fit in the bathtub.
And yeah, it's actually a model that I had bought some time ago. I think it was about 10 years ago when these things first came out from Ravel. And the box was so big that it was actually taking up a lot of room in my stash. So I figured, build the hull.
Yeah.
And that actually took up a lot less room.
The hull's in one piece?
The hull is in two pieces.
I mean, one piece aside. I mean, were they?
Oh, yeah. There's, let's see. Well, now the two halves, left port and starboard.
Yeah.
There's also some interior stuff there where the torpedo.
They can actually count the rivets.
Yeah.
Oh God, someone will.
Mm-hmm.
Someone already has, and then of course there's the deck is in 2 or 3 pieces as well. But what I should have done back then was I should have drilled out those limber holes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then I would have to have fabricated the pressure hull inside, which would have been quite visible. So.
Randall, where are you putting the phasers and photon torpedoes?
Well, there's the torpedo hatch, Jimmy. There, so yeah, there's your photon torpedoes.
Pull it down just a little bit. Pull it back a little bit. Right.
The phasers are actually, if I can find it,
deck phasers there.
Well, isn't that Japanese show?
Yeah.
That U-boat in outer space with lasers?
Yeah.
And phasers.
The Star Blazers, the Yamato was yeah.
Yeah, the Yamato.
Repurposed.
Yeah, well, there's your phasers, Jimmy. The 88 millimeter that sat in the deck.
Quite detailed, that too, isn't it?
And that's not all the pieces. There's still the crank handles and various shoulder things or whatever the crew had.
Does that come with characters you can put on the deck?
Yeah, and then the conning tower.
Lovely.
Oh wow.
Very detailed, isn't it?
Hmm.
Oh wow.
Lovely, lovely, lovely.
Doesn't kind of seeing that there, Lou, isn't that something that you say, that looks so good, maybe I want to do something like that?
Jack, I'll tell you, it would have to be something that big because I can really appreciate the detail on that. I just don't see the detail on the smaller ones. It just doesn't excite me.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I agree.
Yeah.
Size matters.
Yeah. This model has actually been used to make radio control.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can see that.
Steve Neal has built, I think, at least 2.
Yeah, I can see that.
One for himself and I think one for a customer. So it's big enough to fit the radio control tube assembly inside it. They're like the RC equivalent of the pressure hull.
Mm-hmm.
And also the props are good for
just making them actually work. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jamie, there's something the Enterprise never seemed to have was an after torpedo tube.
There you go. In other words, a butthole.
Yeah.
Ken says he has that one and a bigger one, so I don't know. Are we still talking about buttholes?
Talk's cheap, Ken.
Yeah, but
yeah. No, Ken. Yeah, Ken said. You know what, Ken? This is Ken Skiffington joined on the chat, and he's talking. He made a comment about the lighting. He said, "I buy the lighting kit, and I want it to be the right size for the model because some people can't just know if it's right." Well, we just discussed that. It's up to the modeler to decide that, and that's what makes it your own. And no, Jack, the subs. I got it, Ken. I was just making a funny, which again, getting out of the gutter, I can't do sometimes. Sorry, but you do have it.
Going from sea to space.
Well, you know what? If it was the USS Donald J. Trump, then we can say that, right? Okay, fair enough.
Right. This is the
we have the best ships.
Doing the Apollo Soyuz test project, and this is the Soyuz half of it, and it's kind of hard to see in this camera, but there is a slight problem with the this is the
forward module supposed to be round.
Yep. Well, it's kind of like a more egg shape.
I was gonna say that looks awfully elongated. I always thought it was rounder.
It is in some of the older kits of the thing, but it's more accurate to be this oval shape. That's the orbital module. This is the re-entry module, and this is the service module. The service module, re-entry module, nice and straight, but then you come to the orbital module. There's actually a slight from this angle. There's a slight upward bend.
So you're saying the Russians are crooked?
They're colluding with them.
I'll leave that to the argument with them and your president. But then anyway,
I don't know. He seems to be poisoning the Brits. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, it's not. Well, yeah. Of course, there's that per cop that got it as well. But anyway,
so what do you get? You got to saw it off and try to reorient it, or?
That's what I was going to ask. The material is vinyl. It's not resin or plastic. It's vinyl. Could I just heat it in warm or hot water and then bend it gently back into position? And if I do I then have to dip it into cold water to make sure it stays that way?
To lock it, yeah.
Randall, I was wondering, you were talking about the weight of it.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you were to saw that off, could you at the same time hollow it out to make it lighter and then glue the neck back on, and that way you would get rid of some of that weight problem?
Yeah, well, some of it's already hollowed out.
Oh, okay.
The way it comes as the kit, it's not actually completely solid vinyl. And as for the,
ways to counterbalance.
I put the plastic docking collar in, and it's actually quite a tight fit, and it's nearly impossible to get out. But yeah, it's kind of hollowed out there as well.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was a lot more solid than that.
It's still quite heavy. It's still heavy compared to the plastic
You
model.
would say, Jack, that it throws off the display of it because it's so much heavier than the Apollo part.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Put a counterweight in the Apollo side.
I've put together the stand. Now this is the stand after I've straightened out the this bit here. This bit here would sort of curve out more this way. You know what I mean? So just a bit of brute force and ignorance, and I just straightened it so that whenever the thing's sitting, hopefully the center of balance should still be over the main part of the base.
Right.
Yeah.
And then of course the base is hollow, so I can maybe stick a lot of fishing weights in there just to
Weight it down.
to weigh it down.
Yeah.
Ooh. It's either that or else, or do it like the old Revell Apollo Soyuz kit and just have the two craft sitting facing each other on a horizontal base.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. I like that one. It's more dynamic.
Yeah, I like this way too as well. It's certainly different from the old Revell kit, and it'll improve the look, I think. As everybody knows, there's no such thing.
I got to join us tomorrow because we're going to talk extensively about real space, and I'm going to in between I'm going to do some looking into as to what kind of kits are available for real space, and make some suggestions on YouTube and the like to get in the know about real space, because I think that's a genre that I think isn't really explored in the hobby necessarily.
Not a lot.
Yeah, it's almost as specialized
I was asking earlier, will the hot water trick work for this, for the vinyl?
Yeah.
Just straight up.
Vinyl? What is wouldn't maybe a heat gun work too?
Probably would if I had one. The hot water is easier to
But
get.
the hot water is easier to get, but yeah, the hot water should work.
Okay.
Yep. That's good. And then dunk it into cold water to make sure it locks in.
Lock it. Yeah.
Okay.
Ice water, yeah, ice water.
I shall attempt that tonight and report back tomorrow night.
All right. Cool. Yeah, because I'd really want to talk extensively about this sort of thing, because a lot of this stuff is going to be like garage kits and the like. Because I'm not really seeing that much, but anyway.
That's me.
That's you. Got it. All righty. Oh, he passed out and he woke up. How you doing, Wayne?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I have to be brief. I've got to go to work in 5 minutes, so I'm going to be brief. But I'll probably be on tomorrow. So,
all right, very cool.
Okay. I'm working. What I'm working on at the minute is the 135th Patriot missile launcher.
Oh, yes.
Why do I see it say mini loaf?
So actually, all I'm doing at the minute is just building. I'm going to paint it or anything. I'm going to go do that when it's all finished. But I'm just trying to get as many kits as I can get built and paint on my day off or something. But that's something. That's the size of the trailer. That's the trailer itself. At the minute. So that's but I'm gonna have to get some like tenant fuse wires for the railings.
Okay.
got the pre-cut holes, but the wire they give me is too big for them, and they're too fragile to drill out the holes. So that's one kit I'm doing. A bit all over the place. I've got another tank kit on the go, or 2 tank kits on the go. The Tamiya M60A2 Starship tank. That's the one that fires missiles.
Did you ever find out why it was called the Starship?
It was referred to that in the 90s. It weren't something from the 60s when it came out, but something to do with somebody went in and said, "Oh, let's call it the Starship." Nobody knows why. It's one of those urban legend type deals. But I'm using the AK Interactive Murdoch camouflage set for it instead of being plain green. But it also gives you all the types.
Oh, it gives you the paint schemes on it. Yeah. Nice.
Well, but once those 2 kits are done, or 3, I've got 3rd kit. It's the M26 Super Creation tank to do as well. That's in the paint stage. I'm going to do another Gundam.
Yep.
Gundam.
Gundam Virtue.
Yeah, you're Mark Dunmore's new Gundam darling.
Yes. I must ring immigration because he's going out of the country. I must ring him when he's come, inform them about that. I've got something in the post today. I got a lot of stuff in the post actually. But it's Easter, so I just got that today.
Ah. Bit of mobile artillery.
Yeah.
Are the instructions in German?
No. But it's part count 558 pieces.
Yikes.
Taking a lot of that with the tracks, maybe?
No, they got vinyl tracks.
Ah.
Yeah, that one's got a full interior, does it?
Yeah. Got Photox grills and everything. Standard paint scheme. But just the size of that vehicle alone. Yeah, so yeah, it got quite a bit. It's got full interior, full engine deck, full crew compartment.
Oh, mackerel.
Yeah.
How long is that thing, Wayne?
Hang on, I find a. Well, it's based on the Tiger tank chassis. It's got hang on, I think that's the lower hull. That's the Puma 8-wheel armored car.
That's big.
It is a while, man, isn't it?
Yeah.
Long fella.
Tiger. Yeah, I say. Well, that's it. As soon as I get all my paints and stuff ordered, that's it. I'm not going to get anything else for a while until I go to Tank Fest. So, yeah, but I've got another SU E100 tank destroyer kit as well. That's basically a tank chassis with the gun at the back, but it's that big.
Well,
I'm going to get it. It's in my stash somewhere.
Wow. Just as he's looking that up, Bernie, how can somebody contact you about the boards?
Well, they can either contact me through Neil's Wild House Models site, or they can possibly email me, perhaps on my Gmail account. I can I can certainly answer it through there. So if anybody is interested, it's a simple email to remember. It's slouch sorry about this, sloucher01@gmail.com. Sloucher as in, yeah, slouch.
Do you know how to open up the message on your screen and just type it in, and I'll reiterate it later.
Sure.
That will be on your, I believe it's on the left-hand side, and it should be the top.
I've got one that's at the bottom here. I'm typing in at the moment.
Okay. All right, yeah, type that in, and that gets it into the message, and I'll reiterate it later. All right?
Oh, yeah, that's great. Cheers.
All right, and back to you, Wayne.
Okay, yeah, this one here, this is the one from the 2017 line, and this one seems to be a bit more sharper in detail, especially with the rivets and some of the engine detail got. That's from 2010. This kit, it seems to be a bit more plain, basically. We can see some of the size of the vehicles.
Oh wow, yeah.
And the artillery piece has got like only 60 mils of armor plating, and this is like 200 mil in places. So these were beasts vehicles. Right, just one more thing about this Patriot before I go. This is the Dragon kit, but unfortunately it doesn't have the radar assembly released yet, so that's going to be released as a separate kit, I think. And that's definitely it. I have to go because I think my phone's going off.
Oh, okay.
Because I can see it, I can hear that Sergeant Gunnery Hartman shouting. That's what my voice phone ringtone is. Right, I'll see you later.
All right.
See you, Wayne.
Bye.
See you, Wayne.
Bye. See you, Wayne. Yeah, poor guy. Should have got to him earlier because he came in late for a purpose.
You need to start from the end next time, Jack. Just work backwards.
Well, you know, that's always a thought. I think Randall would appreciate it every now and again.
They don't have to wait around so long every time.
Oh, certainly. Just sometimes I even bounce around because I'm that way.
You also take a bit of pressure off me having to match what everybody else has shown.
Of course, that does mean he will stick around longer.
Well, at least you got something to go.
Okay, Lou, you found me out. So, okay. So back to Bernie's contact. That's wildhouse.com. That would be Neil Wooding's fantasy, sci-fi, New World stuff, and he does. I got one of these. I got more kits. This is the stasis that I jumped up and had leak. Did you do the electronics for this too, Bernie?
Yeah, that's one of mine.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm having trouble finding out the mate to this, so that's why it's never plugged in.
The original
That's one of those.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one, and the one that I'd like to see happen, just if I can.
Is the mini?
If you wanted suggestions, hold on a second. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. Is this?
Yeah, the mini size.
Yeah, the mini. Yeah, that's. Oh,
You can outfit your.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't have that little wiggly at the one end.
That's right. It's basically wider underneath than it is on the top, but it's just got two curved.
Yeah,
sides.
it's a trapezoid. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the thing was when we were first developing that, this smaller one was actually only just coming in. So we thought that, well, everybody had the large one, and we have got some converter cables actually. So, and you can get them on eBay and stuff like that. But yeah, the idea is that we then did the follow up on that, which was the Med console. And we have got the mini one on that one.
Okay. And the other way to contact Bernie is at Sloucher01.
Yep.
That's spelled SLOUCHER01 @gmail.
That's the one. Yep.
Okay, so if you want to contact them about electronic boards, especially if you're in the UK, you don't have to do those import duties and taxes and stuff and that sort of thing. And from what I heard, Bernie works cheap.
No. I'm cheap. I don't work cheap.
Oh, okay. Sort of like me. I'm pretty cheap too, but I don't work.
Can I just realised I forgot to show you earlier. This we were talking about emergency vehicles.
There you go. That looks good.
That's the sort of thing. That's just a 3-wire setup from the board.
Nice.
So
That'd be nice for a spinner too.
Yeah, there's all sorts of uses that you can put it to. That's just running on off. That's just off 5 volts. So
There you go. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I think you're on the right track with this. I really do. When I first heard it, I was actually stunned. But watching you, as I always do when something's curious, I just watch and see what I can find out before really bringing it up in my own conversation. So the best of luck to you, Bernie. And as I said, I hope to see you more often. But I want to get to Jamie because he's thinking that, oh my God, Jack forgot me again.
I'm still here. Woo!
Yeah, he's sitting back. A couple of times we caught him sleeping. I was waiting for that to happen, but not today, I guess. You know, us anoraks, we even get ourselves bored. That's how uncool we are. So.
As you know, last time I came on, I was using my phone because my computer was down. So I haven't actually done much modelling itself. I've been fixing my computer, which is now done. I had to literally strip it down and rebuild it back up and then install everything that I lost. So it was kind of like nearly a week's work. So I haven't actually done much to this, but I think you can get to this now. So it's kind of like with the camera I've got, you can see it better. There you go.
Ah.
I've still got some finishing still on it. But
it's the Reliant with freckles.
Wallpaper.
You see, Randall, this has got the rear photo torpedo.
Yeah.
The butthole.
But the hardest thing I found to this mask set was actually trying to get it to, because the mask set is quite thick. So when you're laying it down, it stands out quite a deal. So I had to put quite a few layers onto the actual surface of varnish and blend it in, so it looks part of the model, and it came out quite well because they were very, very shiny, and you could actually see that they were decals, but with the varnish on top, it's actually giving it the look like it's not so deckled. But apart from that, I've still got some touch-ups to do on it, and I'm hoping to get that finished by the next Hangout.
Nice. As an Aussie would say, nice.
But that's it then, Jack. I'm a bit not done much apart from fixing my computer and getting back online.
Okay, cool. So no interludes with the other build?
No, I'm still collecting things for me. Thanks to Bernie, I've got me a new, like I said, the new Star Trek kit, and I'm just Lou's going to send me the masks, and going to go through my lighting options on it, and just basically, I'm having a little bit of a break from the toss, get everything together, push everything else aside, and then just concentrate on the toss and get the electrics right this time.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. I'm really looking forward to that too, because you did such a bang-up job on the refit, and now the TOS, supposedly it's easier. Yeah, we run into our, how should I say, our demons, I guess. Best way I can describe it. So there is a kit out there for every modeler, which seems to be the elusive, I don't know. Again, I'm lost for words all of a sudden.
The white whale.
Oh yes, yes, the white whale. There you go. That works. So yeah, let's get that done there. I want you to get that done.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm pulling for you.
This one I'm going to do now is I'm going to be meticulous about the electrics, test everything because I'm not going to seal another one up, and do so much fine work on the finished model to have the lights not work on it, and I've got that base for it to go on, and that's sitting downstairs already wired up, just waiting to be connected to the model. So it's kind of like, it's a bit frustrating. But the good thing that I am pleased about with the kit that Bernie sent me, I've got all the different coloured windows, which I like to have instead of just having the one clear kit. So it's that's a plus. The only thing I'm going to get for that is because I don't want to do the work to the source, so I'm going to spend out and buy the smooth source for it.
Well, the kits come with smooth these days.
Yeah, but they don't come with the different coloured windows, the black, the...
Oh, yeah. You had that was the original.
Yeah, you only get the clear set with the new version.
Oh, you just have to find a different way of doing that. That's all.
No, yeah, but the windows themselves that come with that kit, they're actually perfect for it when you're lighting it.
The white plastic ones, or the translucent white ones?
Yeah, they're actually bang on for it for when you're lighting it.
Okay, well, I'm thinking there might be a substitute that can be imitated. That's just me. Anyway, that's it there, Jamie?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I've got for this week. So next time, hopefully, I'll have the Reliant finished, and I've got to start that commission job I've got on the sub.
Right. Well, real quick, nothing really to show myself, other than I shared. I'm dabbling my electronics, and talking to Jim. He's a valuable source. I mean, Jim here. He's a electronics engineer. He was a radio engineer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you know about this stuff, or something about them. Anyway, but
I have an inkling on how it all works. Yeah.
Yeah, but as soon as I told you the diodes that I bought for that blending of the channels didn't work, and you immediately said, "Well, you need a signal diode," and that's correct. And I didn't share the schematic with you because I know the schematic is not the problem. It was just with the components I was using. But anyway, with that being said, and I shared that on the Facebook, I think at Google Plus community too, to get some thoughts back. And of course, Neil says, "Why don't you contact us? Why don't you contact Bernie? We'll do it for you." But that takes all the fun out of it. But you guys are doing programmable stuff. I'm just doing integrated circuits, something that you build and it stays that way. If y'all wondering what the flash is about, that's one of the test circuits that I have. And I just come to an epiphany of sorts that the circuit that's blinking away right there has so many variations that you can make an LED blink at different rates and different intensities and everything with this one circuit. The only thing different between them is the components that you use. And I just find that absolutely fascinating. And this particular thing, I'm doing an endurance test on this. I connected it to a 9-volt battery. And as of right now, this has been running straight at least 12 hours. Basically figuring on how long a single 9-volt battery would have life. And I can extract, if this lasts like several days just flashing away like this, then I know what one battery can do to, more circuits and more like lights, because I want to do 1,000 scale enterprise that's battery operated. And I shared the stand and everything of that nature, because I swear I'm going to light every 1,000 scale Star Trek model there is, and that's what I'm going to try to do. And so when I went to Home Depot, I bought a whole big packet of 9-volt batteries. I suspect that the ship would probably run pretty well on 3 or 4 of these batteries for quite a long time. So that's my estimation. But I'm doing an endurance test on the battery, and kind of be able to know what's how long it's going to run interior lights. Bizarre collectors is what I'm trying to figure out right now. But I did find a circuit, a schematic that would help me do just that, and I started building it on this test board here. This is
556. 556.
There's a 556 and a 4017, a decade counter.
Right.
This is the 556. That's just two 555 timers, which that's blinking away right there. And then the other is the decade counter. But there's components to this circuit, such as potentiometers that I got to buy, and I did order them last night. And I'm also trying to figure out how I'm going to fit spinning Bizarres into a nacelle that is roughly this big around. So I got some ideas, and last night I still, you know what? It's so wonderful having sold that house. I got the hard drive in my head to be able to think about these things without thinking, I got to go over the house, do this, do that, do this, do that, and be worried about that. Now I have the freedom to buy my 3D printer. In fact, to create a part that would hold the LEDs in there and be able to just not make a mess of it inside, and just basically a LED holder. And I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get my 3D printer, and I can't wait. I would expect by summer I will have it, and I will be playing with that too. So there's more to come. And I hope that I can start having a channel much like Lou's, showing off. Well, he shows off what he can do, and he does what he does very well. And he's got a good persona. So look up Lou Damaso, his channel. He's great. Right, Lou? You're awesome.
I'm fantastic.
You are. He's fun to watch.
Sometimes just as a bad example.
What's that?
Sometimes just as a bad example. You learn by screwing things up too.
You know what I like about? There's another thing about your videos I like. It. You do a whole week's worth of work. You do one video for the week, and when you come on and say, well, it's Monday, well, it's Tuesday, well, it's Wednesday, and we get a sense of your process.
Yeah,
and your time.
I like to let people know that things do take time to dry, or things do take time to set up. I don't like these things where, oh, we happen to have this perfectly baked cake in the oven just waiting to show you.
Jamie and Bernie will get this reference, and here's something I made earlier.
Yeah.
Sticky back plastic.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'd like to expand my YouTube presence, and mine would be more of exploration of the hobby of the electronics, and I'll get into Arduino and into maybe some RC that's pertaining to static models, not necessarily fly, float, or have them swim necessarily, but at least be a more interesting static display of our work. And get into diorama work perhaps, and 3D printing is going to be, I think, my next biggest wonderment and exploration, which is going to be, I think, is going to be amazing. Because I can't say that I'm bored with kits, but I just find kits like a 3-year-old wanting so many things to be whole. And the kits to me are just begging to be expanded upon and be manipulated into something different as they're set on the box cover. It comes from when I was a kid, eating breakfast cereal and reading the back of the boxes, cereal boxes, over and over and over again, always wishing they would change from day to day. And just my curiosity gets ahead of me, and that's what I'd like to do. So that's my angle on modeling. So I really don't have anything else to show other than I come up with this as a stand for the Millennium Falcon. This is the base. I got holes for the light switches. There's two because I'm going to separate the burners because they take 1 amp of power by themselves. And this is, of course, the jack hole for the jack to plug it in. And I got a couple of pieces of plexiglass, and I tried cutting a piece for this and messed them both up. So I'm going to give up on using plexiglass. I'm just going to use maybe a piece of either plywood or Luan and just make a solid black base and call it a day. But thinking about it, when I set out to do the 72 scale Millennium Falcon, I like the scene where they come out of hyperdrive or hyperspace, and they're running into some trouble with TIE fighters, and they said, we should go to that moon. And then Obi-Wan says, that's not a moon, that's a space station. And that's the scene I wanted to create. Yeah, that's not a moon. There you go.
No moon?
Yeah, it's a space station. And the base has to reflect that. Of course, this doesn't reflect that. And I was figuring of buying a globe, a world globe, and transforming it into, this is so funny. You know, Polar Lights does the half dome stands, which are boring as all hell. Now I have a use for one, but it needs to be bigger. And model it, scratch build it, or add to it and paint it like the Death Star, and or at least give that a part impression of that dome stand. And but I've been looking, and Matt said something just last night. He says, you don't have to buy it. Why don't you go around the Goodwills and see if you can buy it for cheap?
Yeah.
I'm like, there you go.
That's thinking.
So maybe we'll do a road trip this afternoon to different Goodwills and see, just to see if they have anything like that, and if so, buy it. But that's kind of where I'm at.
Why not just buy a huge beach ball, overinflate it, then you can have it explode as well.
And if you
buy your circuitry for the lighting effects.
cover it with tissue paper and glue, and you can get the skin of it that way.
Yeah.
Paper mache.
Get a beach ball, blow it up, cover it in tissue, and then put a pin through to burst the beach ball on the inside, and you've got a nice, yeah.
Well, you know, you could just open up the blowy hole and pull it out nice and easy. You don't have to blow it up.
Well, actually, if you had a balloon, you've got the blowhole. It looked like a belly button.
Well, if I
talk
can't,
Jack, about blowholes, we'll just get started.
I can't find that. I'm sorry. What was that, Jamie?
I said you could just, you know, with a beach ball, just put some wires out of it and a little block of Semtex. That'd do the job just as well.
Do you know that a channel called Slow Mo Guys? There's a couple of Brit guys that do filming of things exploding in slow motion. They got big Hollywood backing now. They're a big channel. But they used to get this balloon that would fill up with water, and this balloon would expand out to be like 8 feet across. But of course, it'd be a blob, and one of the kids would be sitting in it, and then it'd burst at some point. It's actually pretty cool. So maybe get contact them with this beach ball idea and see what they have to say. Yeah, I mean, Slow Mo Guys, a fascinating channel on YouTube. Again, what does that have to do with modeling? Maybe something. Okay, there you go. Because when I was a kid, when I was making paper models out of chipboard, because my parents were of modest means, and my dad didn't particularly like that I wanted to be do that as a hobby. I kind of did it under the radar from him. He probably knew, but anyway, I built it out of chipboard, and then one 4th of July, I came into possession with a couple of M80s, and as you can tell, I have my finger. I used to cover it with either rubbing alcohol or gasoline and then light the damn things up. See them explode into smithereens. You know, when you're a preteen, you play with fire. Sometimes you get burned, sometimes you don't. And I was the lucky ones. I never did get burned. I was pretty smart about it in some ways. But no, I'm going to be doing this. If I can't find that, I'm just going to go ahead with this and call it a day because I need to get this thing done. I've been working on this since July. It's time.
Jack, I don't build rockets anymore. I got very disillusioned as a kid when I was a kid. I brought one of those kit model rockets that you buy that have a gas cylinder inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You build it, it looks really great, and you think, wow, it's got a little parachute at the top, and it's got this gas-filled cylinder that you release the gas, and it goes, and then you never see it again. So that was my enterprising adventures of building a little space rocket. So I never built any more after that.
Well, and on another channel, I like to make stuff. That's the name of the channel. The host, Bob, who likes to make stuff, built a air-powered rocket launcher. And you basically make these rockets out of foam. They're not very heavy. But he creates get a big PCV pipe and make it into a tank, and he bicycle pumps up the air, and then he has a solenoid that opens up the tank and it shoots these rockets up. He did it for his kids.
Yeah.
And his kids are having a great time. His kids are like about 5 or 6 years old, and you can see these kids pumping away at the bicycle pump. And then they fight over the solenoid control and launch the rockets. And he says it's really cheap if you get a rocket that gets stuck in a tree or something, because they're so light, they're not parachuted. They just come back down nose first, and of course after a while they get damaged. But he just makes a whole bunch of them, and he just lets his kids at it. And well, that's modeling too. And of course, if it were me at that age, I'd probably be wanting to light those suckers, and trying to find a way to create afterburners on it. Because on another channel, Flight Test, FLITE test. These guys are from Canton, Ohio.
Oh, I've seen these guys. Yeah.
They're amazing, and some of their I like their older shows and their newer shows. Their older shows are much more creative. They actually had some British jet that was really fast. It had some of these turbine electric motors in it, and they created afterburners with LEDs in that silky material that you see in home show displays of a fire pit, with a fan in it, and they get the silky stuff going like this, and it's LED lit. And they actually built one of those, and it looked real. Looked real. It's crazy how real you can. And they flew it like at twilight, so that you can get the full effect, and it was absolutely amazing to watch. There's a lot of things out there giving you ideas. Some of them bad.
I mean, we may have had afterburners and stuff, but for God's sake, man, you had Airwolf.
Well, there's that one guy that did an X-wing who did butane lighters or butane.
He actually made them light up properly, didn't he?
Yeah, he had butane burners in his X-wing, and
that was impressive.
Click, click, click. It's like, holy crap! And he had it in the display case, and he bled. He's like, oh my God, he's gonna burn the house down. And we're anoraks, I'll tell you. Yeah, we certainly are anoraks, but we're more dangerous. Anyway, tomorrow we have the Sunday Hangout. We're going to talk real space and talk about different kits and talk about some ideas to do that, just as we did a few weeks ago about both electronics, the methods of soldering, doing things with even soldering photo etch. We also talked about balsa wood builds, because we have a wooden build group going on. So check out the since January actually, so it's already April. So there's not that many to go through, but if you haven't caught any of those past Sunday Hangouts. That's primarily what we talk on Sundays, more specific to the hobby, not this well, I guess we really show our true colors as anoraks, being real boring and really nerdy about stuff on Sundays. But certainly, if you're interested in maybe exploring some ideas of techniques, as well as model building, as well as genres, we're going to get into the genre of real space, see what's out there, and I hope if you are a scratch builder that you would also hear that Ken Skiffington recently did the Abyss. He did a submarine scratch build, even lit it. Do y'all see that? Should I get that up?
That was being attacked, was it?
Yeah.
Explosion underwater.
It's one of the bathyspheres that they used in the movie.
Oh,
it looked
right. Are they from the deep? No, the Abyss.
No, the Abyss. Yes. Let's see if I can quickly screen share it.
Laptop submersible.
I thought it was amazing. I actually thought it was a kit because it sounded like it could be a kit. One of the subs from. That would be a really cool display to do that drilling platform and do the subs and do a diorama of that because that set was amazing. That was actually an amazing set. Think what you will about James Cameron, but that movie is my favorite James Cameron movies. It really is. No, looks like he's on Facebook. He didn't do this on Google Plus, I don't think. Hi, Phil. Phil stopped in. Hi, sorry I'm late. How George is like, how you feeling this week? He says Dreadful got allergy. Has been doing the rounds.
Allergy.
Allergies.
Allergy. L-U-R-G-Y. Allergy.
Yeah. What is it?
Just whatever general illness that's going around at the time.
Oh, I see.
The flu, the cold,
the cold. I actually pulled my muscles in my back, ribs, and shoulders, coughing. Yeah, he's sick. Sorry you're feeling lousy, Phil. Certainly we don't want to see you because if you get on camera, we might catch what you got. So just out of sympathy is what would happen. Here it is. Let me get this cleared out. But I hope you feel better. Maybe next week we'll see you. How's that, Phil? Yeah, it's a cold, he says. Okay, so it's not the flu. And we had a bad time with the flu this year, too. Ken Skiffington. Here it is. Yep. Look at that thing. He scratch built that sucker. And he even lit it. Now, what you got to do there, Ken, is build the whole diorama.
No pressure.
No pressure. He doesn't feel pressure. He just. I tell you what, this guy farts and he comes out with these things.
Back on the scatology.
Yeah, continue the theme of scatology. But amazing stuff. I mean, this guy.
Did he put an interior into that as well?
Oh, did he?
Your dome? I'm not sure. Is it like a dome in the front of that?
Yeah.
I think that's Big Geek is the name of the craft. Little Geek is what they launched with the warhead on it, nuclear warhead. There's a better view of the interior. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Jeez.
That's similar to the one I'm building, isn't it?
Yeah.
The same idea. Yeah, deep sea submersible.
Yeah.
Ken says yes, he did do an interior. Yeah, that certainly is quite amazing. But at that scale, I wonder what the platform would be. It would probably take up your whole room. Why not, Ken? You're up for the task. Actually, so far this year, Ken, this happens to be my most favorite build of yours. Only because I not only love the movie very much so, but I just think your work is impeccable as always. But you're hitting the nail on two heads for me. So Thank you for that share, Ken. And yeah, be here tomorrow, Sunday Hangout. 2 weeks, we're going to have another Across the Pond episode of our lives, the days of our lives, the anoraks. That's our new thing. I'm not going to call you usual suspects. I'm going to call you my fellow anoraks.
Where?
I just think that's a funny word. It just sounds like we're extinct birds or something.
Maybe we should all be wearing anoraks the next time we're on.
It makes it sound like an eating disorder.
I will if you will.
Well, you know the Women's March in DC, they wore their hats. We're going to have anorak hats. How's that? Anywho, this is your host extraordinaire. I'm no longer Scratching Jack. I'm your host extraordinaire, Jack, for the Amazing Skill Modelers Across the Pond Hangout. Tomorrow's Sunday Hangout. See you then. Happy modeling, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Good day.
Yeah.